I just loaded up Call of Duty, and it is in fact not working good. Okay, never mind. It did not even make it into the game that time. This is an Alienware gaming PC that I just picked up. Let me put it down. Excuse the overly energetic intro, but I got this from a local reseller. Basically on the box, there was a handwritten sticker that just said problem. I don't really know what that means. Anyway, the box just said problem and there was basically no further information, so I wasn't quite sure if this would be a good deal or not. Additionally, I do actually have a membership to the place which I bought it from, which means that I'll have 30-day returns if I can't fix the problem. So I'm not really that worried that I'll lose my money or anything, but I do think this will make an interesting video considering there was a strong lack of information as to what this problem is. So I don't even know. This PC cost me just $903 after tax. And for the specs, it's got an i7-13700F with an RTX 4070 Ti. Yeah, that's why I bought it. Now, whoever originally purchased this PC from Alienware appears to have skimped out just about everywhere else. Because for the storage, we've only got a 512GB NVMe with a 1TB hard drive. Now, I don't even really know why Dell is still offering hard drives as an option at this kind of performance level, but oh well, what am I gonna do about it? Now, additionally to that, the RAM also got cheaped out on a little bit. It's only 16GB, but it is DDR5 and it is in dual channel, so not the end of the world. And it's not as big of a deal as the storage. And honestly, for the price, the storage isn't even that big of a deal either. So regardless of what your opinion is on the hard drive, one thing you cannot argue with is that this computer is offering some monster price to performance. But right now it's still on the floor in my kitchen where I filmed the intro. So I'm gonna take it back downstairs again, set Windows up and everything, and we'll see what we can do with it. All right, so I've actually got something interesting going on here. I just loaded up Call of Duty and I was going to basically just do my benchmarks and stuff and make sure everything was working good. And it is in fact not working good because my game crashed, and that was not entirely bad. But then I loaded back in and it actually just kept on crashing, and it was doing it really fast every single time. And it's basically to the point where I can't even get into a game because it just crashes before then. So I'm gonna assume that this has something to do with that problem that was mentioned on the box, and I'm gonna do a little bit more troubleshooting and get back to you once I've done that. All right, so as you can see here, I have managed to get Warzone working without crashing. I made it into a match, which usually it would crash before I ever got into a match. All it ended up taking me to solve the crashing was just swapping the NVMe for another one that I had laying around, and then using a clean copy of Windows. Now, I'm not sure yet whether it was the drive itself or just the installation, but this seems to have fixed the crashing. But this means that the next step is to swap the old drive back in and see if it still has the same problem. All right, so I actually just decided to stand right here in front of my TV to record this and just leave the tripod in the same spot that it was, because that last step that I just did, swapping the old NVMe right back in, took me like 30 seconds, and I've already got the computer set up down here again. So I'm gonna turn it on now, and a reminder, this is once again using the original drive that the computer came with. So if everything goes as I'm predicting that it will, this means that the game should start crashing again. But yeah, I'm gonna fire it up and we'll cut to that right now. All right, so I've just loaded the computer up with the old NVMe. You can see here it has like the characteristic Alienware logo for the desktop, which is just how it came. But we're gonna load up Call of Duty. And if my predictions are correct, then this should just crash very, very quickly. I'm gonna fast forward until whenever it does end up happening, just so that this doesn't take forever. Okay, never mind. It did not even make it into the game that time, which a little bit rarer than the other crashes I've had. We're gonna try one more time, see if I can actually get in this time before it happens. All right, so it just crashed again, and that time it took a little bit longer than normal. And so the first thing I'm gonna do right now is, honestly, just reinstall Windows fresh. I've got a USB right here with, I don't know if you can see it because my exposure is kind of low right now, but it's got Windows 11 on it. Plug that in, reinstall it, and say goodbye to this default installation, and we'll see if it's still happening. Well, it's been about 2 hours, and I've got some great news. The Windows reinstall fixed everything. And this is really good for me because it means I really just don't have to do anything else to fix it. So that was basically just the last troubleshooting step I had to do. And I was expecting to have to do like 2 or 3 more troubleshooting steps and maybe even spend a little bit of money in the end to fix the problem. But that did it. So super pleased with that. So what this means is that all I really got left to do, as usual, is benchmark it, take some pictures, make a description, and put it up for sale. And I'll put some benchmarking footage up on screen for you to see so you can compare the performance that this computer is delivering to the price that I got it for, which, if you remember, is $900. So yeah, really nothing else for me to say about it. Like I said, I'm super happy with how it went. You know, I got really lucky with that troubleshooting process and how short it actually was. So yeah, I'm gonna put the benchmarks up on screen now. Now, if you've watched some of my other videos, there's a chance you've become accustomed to me basically putting the outro right here after the benchmarks are done, but I'm not going to be doing that today. And the reason that I'm not doing that this time is because I've actually got some good news, which is that summer has started, which means that I'll be able to put more effort into every single video that I upload, which, if you like my videos so far, hopefully you're excited for that. But going back to where all this stemmed from, what this means for this video specifically is that I've got another computer to build basically, and so that'll make 2-in-1 video, even though I technically didn't build the first one because it was a pre-built. You get the point. So if you watched either episode 3 or episode 4, I honestly don't remember which one it was in, but in one of those videos, I showed that I got a Corsair 4000D airflow case. That is exactly the case that I'm going to be using for this build. I'm going to be putting a Dell 3080 in it and pairing it with a Ryzen 7 5700X. So a pretty standard combination for what I usually use on this channel. Basically the same as almost all of my other builds. And then alongside that, I am using 32 gigabytes of RAM and a 2TB SSD. Now, one thing I will say is that I've actually already built this computer at the time that I'm recording this. And something that happened was that the RAM I initially used in the build footage, it wasn't able to actually hit the XMP profile and be stable. So instead of downclocking it and just selling it not at the XMP profile, I did decide to just buy another kit and swap them out. So whenever you see the pictures, they'll look a little bit different. And I also used a different NVMe in the end as well, but it all is basically the same. But yeah, with that, here's the build footage. Alright, so it is done. Now, actually, whenever I recorded the last clip where I was talking about the RAM having some problems, I completely forgot to mention an even bigger problem, and it's that the AIO I originally used in this build, it technically worked, but it was like really way higher temperatures than it should have been, and the pump was making some really weird loud noises. So I honestly just threw that thing away. I think it cost me $25 originally or something. But I did luckily have another Thermalright cooler, which is the exact same model actually. And so I just swapped that in. I didn't record it or anything, just like the RAM. I basically just made the swap. So unfortunately I did lose about $25 there, but that's really not a huge deal. And the other Thermalright cooler, which I replaced it with, I think I got for $35 as well. So the price of both of those basically evens out to if I just bought one of them brand new on Amazon or something. So I'm really not losing that much, and I'm not gonna complain about it. And then also, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not gonna be benchmarking this computer in this video, and the reason for that is because I've already benchmarked very similar specs multiple times at this point. If you're interested in seeing how these parts perform, you can watch episode 4 of my series, and towards the end in that episode, I benchmarked a PC with a 5800X and a 3080, and the difference between a 5800X and a 5700X is gonna be so small, especially in the GPU bound scenarios like gaming, that it's not gonna make any difference whatsoever. So if you haven't seen my other videos where I've used this combination of parts before, and you are interested in seeing how this PC performs, then you could look at the benchmarks from episode 4 of this series, and that would give you a rough idea. And that leaves me with just 2 tasks left for this computer: make a description and list it. And then obviously once it sells, I'll give you an update as part of a video in this series so that you can see roughly how long it takes. But with that, I'm going to close out this episode. We've gone over a lot today, but I would like to thank you for making it to the end. I'm hoping that you got something out of this video, whether it's a piece of valuable information or maybe just some entertainment. I do hope that you stick around for the future because I've got some big things planned. Additionally, if you want to see more from this series, you can watch the video that's on screen here. If you did enjoy it, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe, because that's just the simplest way that you can support me and support this series. But that's all I've got for today, so thanks for watching.